received lots of those today. And then if you want to become a monthly donor, select recurring. It will then allow you to select how frequently you would like to donate, and it will repeat the amount that you enter. So if you enter like a $20 amount, that amount will be repeated according to the frequency that you select until such time that you withdraw that recurring donation. Very good. So then going back to Mother, I think most of the other questions are for the sisters themselves. So Mother, I think one of the main questions we had this year from those who actually already donated is, why did we change the theme? Why is the theme this year 150 new monthly recurring donors rather than to raise funds for a project that is currently ongoing?
Yes, so we decided to do monthly recurring donors mainly because we have seen a great increase in the daily living expenses of the sisters, both from growth, right, which is a good thing because of the increase of number of sisters, and also because of inflation. And I guess I would also add because the sisters have moved to a bigger building. So it's actually quite shocking for us to see our monthly budget now increase, right? Because of those three factors. So it is a little bit of a scary thing, right? To have to be sure that you have those funds every month to support what's going on here. So we thought the best way to ensure that continuity of funds would be to have to increase our monthly recurring donor base. So it is a little ambitious to acquire 150 new recurring donors, but we thought we would give it a shot.
Well, Giving Tuesday is the time to be ambitious.
Yes.
And excuse me, you'll have to excuse me. I do have a little bit of a cold, so if I cough once in a while, please excuse me. I actually had a question in regards to that, and I forget now. Very good. So then we also wanted to answer some questions that have been emailed and from social media comments, and I've also seen a couple excellent questions come in from our live chat. So thank you everyone for submitting these questions. One question I see right now, and one that was submitted several times today, is do we have a music recording available to buy? Many people have asked for a high quality download, or perhaps do we have audio that can be streamed from Spotify is a big request we've gotten, or Amazon Music. So the answer to that question is unfortunately no, we do not. The only music recordings we have are when we record a video of ourselves practicing in the chapel and we post it. However, that is going to change. We are going to be recording a professional music recording. We've actually been in contact with, his name is Blanton. He runs a company that does location recordings. He'll travel with his team to locations, to the chapel, which is ideal for the sisters. And he does like a 3-day session where he records a full album. And that is what we'll be doing. The delay has been, it is costly to do the recording itself on location, and then to do the editing involved. So cutting, putting it together, getting rid of background noise. There's always the fuzz of the AC in our chapel especially. We actually turn off the AC when we're making videos in the chapel. So evenings are the best time for that. Keeps it nice and cool. But it is costly. So that being the case, of course, Mother is not eager to dive into that, mainly because we want to be in practice and we want to be performing at our best if we're going to invest in that cost. And unfortunately, with the school schedule, we only practice right before Sunday Mass. We do sing every Sunday, and we practice Sunday morning, and that's about it. So, but
Sister, could I interrupt you?
Sure.
So I just wanted to, so Diver Down 85 just donated $20. So
oh, thank you.
Thank you, Diver Down 85.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. So, but yes, we have been in contact with the company. The hardest time is finding dates because everyone who sings teaches in the classroom. So we have to use a vacation, which can be tough for the teaching sisters, and give ourselves plenty of time, at least a week or two, to practice, get ourselves in good form, review the music. It's lots of music to record a full album, and then have those 3 days of recording. So it's more of a scheduling issue. Just a fun FYI, we actually scheduled to do a professional recording about a year ago. We set it up with the company, and then unexpectedly there was an event that was scheduled, and that had to be canceled. So it is in the works. We will be doing it, and of course we will let you know as soon as we have that. But thank you for your patience as you wait. Outside of that, we are going to try to post, it won't be professional, but a small album of carols for this Christmas. So they will be ready by Christmas as audio downloads, but they will be our own recordings from the chapel, so not yet quite professional quality, but I think it'll still be what you've been hearing, so it'll still be enjoyable. Yes. Very good.
So we do have a question in the chat. Will there be a sister? So once the recording is completed, how do they get a recording?
So we've looked at several options, but basically we would partner with a music distributor and they would make the music available in every popular area. So it would be available both on streaming platforms such as Spotify, any of the music streaming apps.
Amazon Music.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did offer that. They even offer radio. We're still discussing if we would be interested in that option. It is an additional cost, but it would make it even more available. And then, of course, it will be available to actually purchase either individual tracks or CD albums, both in our local bookstore as well as online. So once that is ready, the Christmas album, we'll simply post a video letting people know where to find it. But the professional recording, once that's completed, it will be available in every popular area. We won't try to distribute it ourselves. We'll hire a music distributor to do that for us to make sure you don't have to hunt it down, basically.
Great. And then another question is, is there any program that the sisters use for learning chant? One that we would recommend. So, Sister Mary Francis, you probably know the answer to this.
Well, I guess the answer is no. We don't really have a platform. We have listened to and we do imitate.
Specifically for sisters, right? Not for the lay people, but how do the sisters learn how to sing chant?
Mm-hmm. So we do use the Solemn instructional book that we researched and found on the archives, because obviously books on chant are somewhat in demand now. So we do use that, and the sisters are really trained in person by the Mistress of Novices, and that training starts, I would say, day one of entering the postulancy. You start to sing and to learn how to, be on pitch, and then to learn the different jumps in the chant, the different intervals, and then to sing the hours of the office, prime, vespers, compline. At least follow along and sing a few notes here and there, and then little by little, it's surprising how quickly the sisters learn. I guess because we sing so much, it's a daily thing. They learn very quickly.
Yes. So, and I don't know if they probably weren't thinking of this, but I would just like to shout out to Mrs. Gallagher. I don't know if any of those watching familiar with Mrs. Gallagher. She was the former music instructor at Mary Help of Christians in Michigan, which was a private school run by Bishop Sanborn, actually, many years ago. And I do think that we have her to thank very much for the fact that we have sisters who can sing the chant and teach the novices the chant. Many of the sisters attended Mary Help of Christians Academy in Michigan when they were young, and she had an incredible program, Mrs. Gallagher. She was a professional musician. She was the organist, taught at a conservatory, but she devoted her life at that time to teaching music at the school. And I remember kindergarten music class with the finger puppets
Learning the
and
Naum.
the names, and she would jump across the floor showing us how the Gregorian notes worked. And that foundation, I think, is what we have to thank for being able to teach the other sisters and sing it ourselves. And then, yes, I think the office helps us stay in practice, sing in the office 3 times a day.
Okay, and then it looks like we do have a few previous questions were regarding vocation and sisters and how they came to the convent and so forth. So I think that would be better done by a couple of the younger sisters. So we will go ahead and pull in a couple of the younger sisters. It'll be Sister Mary Bernard, Sister Mary Aloysius.
Yes.
Victims.
Yes, and we have 2 sisters who are giving us some of their evening time. And then we also have more questions that we will, I know there are a lot more questions. We will get back to those. Towards the end, we'll finish out questions that were previously submitted earlier today by our followers. Good evening, sister.
Thank you.
Sure. Very good. Yes, so I have Sister Mary Bernard, who is, I'm sorry, what grade do you teach?
I teach 5th grade.
5th grade. And Sister Mary Aloysius?
I teach 7th grade.
Very good. Yes, actually, some of you may know Sister Mary Aloysius from the recent sample classes we've been doing. Sister Mary Aloysius has been running the middle school sample classes recently, the live sample classes on Zoom. And Sister Mary Bernard, maybe you can start us off. I think mostly what a lot of people ask is just your background, how you came to realize that you had a vocation, and the path of finding the sisters and joining the convent. Because I think it's very interesting. I actually don't know the story myself, but Sister Mary Bernard is from Australia, so it's. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, sister. Well, I guess this could be a long story, but I guess just as far as interesting details. Well, as sister said, I'm from Australia. I grew up in Australia. I was born there, and I guess my parents were always traditional. So the congregation, being traditional Catholic, that was what I grew up with. In Australia, we didn't have after Vatican II, we didn't have any of the true traditional, even actually a priest based there, living there.
Right.
So-
Where did your family attend Mass when you were younger?
Actually, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the name of my grandfather, Patrick Henry Omlaw. He, when he moved to Australia, he, got people together, did fundraising, and basically initially it was, from what I remember, it was 4 months, 5 months, sometimes it was even 6 months. We would get all our money together and then basically pay for a priest to come from the United States, usually.
Okay. Wow.
So yes, it was a long time. 3 months, but eventually we did have one priest who came. He was from New Zealand, and he actually started to come every month. And that was a huge thing when we figured out we had enough money, we had enough people now, and it would be just every month. So that was very exciting. I remember when that happened. But
so how did you get from, because it's very different because, growing up in the United States, I had sisters teaching me when I was younger. I think it's a much clearer path, logical path. So how did that come to be? I remember when you visited us before you joined, but what was the time between realizing you had a vocation and that coming about?
well, I guess to answer the question directly, it was always I guess I remember when I was 4 years old, I actually remembered, well, we didn't have a priest every Sunday. So my dad was reading out the gospel of the rich young man who went away. And that was the first time I was old enough to actually, understand what he was saying. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I thought that can't be right. He went away. Our Lord asked him to follow him. I was like, that doesn't make sense. So,
Yes,
so that was the
went
first.
when our Lord asked him to
Yes, I'm sorry.
give away all of his riches.
Go sell what thou hast,
He
give to the poor,
couldn't
and
do
come
that.
follow me.
But on Giving Tuesday, we're much more generous than the rich young man, as we're proving.
Yes, hopefully. But anyway, so I guess that's the first thing that really made me think about, I guess just devoting your life to God. And then, well, my parents were always very supportive of the idea and, of giving your life to God in obviously whatever your vocation is. But they always made us understand that was, if that's God's will for you, that is the highest, that's the highest state. So I guess after that, they provided, all the reading materials, all of our education for that. And,
Can you reference like one book in particular you remember, making an impact on you spiritually?
I really liked all the Mary Fabian Windiat
Yes,
books.
those are fun.
I read them probably 5 or 6 times each.
Yeah,
But,
one I remember, it's not Mary Fabian Windiat, but I remember reading the Lives of the Brethren. It's all Dominican saints, I believe. Reading that when I was younger and just thinking, oh, I have to be. At that time, I was thinking I have to be a religious brother. Was what I was thinking.
That has some obstacles. But yes, so I guess those books and I don't think I can think of anything particular at this point. I wanted to be a Poor Clare. That's what I knew I had to be. But then when I got older, I realized, I looked around and asked people, and I realized that there were only a few, true traditional places that I could go to join a congregation. And we knew obviously the priest under Bishop Sanborn. And so we'd heard about the sisters, ever since that time. And so I'd go on the website and have a look at all the pictures, and anytime you posted anything, I would be looking at that. And then, I guess I came and I visited, as you mentioned, and really didn't really look back at that point. From the visit, I kind of knew this is where.
Right. Well, I guess one thing I can connect to, of course, it's very different, but definitely the parents' influence. Same thing in my family, just the parents emphasizing that no matter what vocation you have, whether it's married, religious, or a single vocation, which is very rare, whatever work you do, you have to do it for God. You have to give your life to God. And I think a lot of young girls we meet come to the convent not being sure of the vocation, and some will stay, some will leave. But I think that emphasis from the parents that and learning that in truth from your parents' example that you give your life to God, I think that definitely has great impact on their children's vocations. Yeah, very good, very good. So then, I guess to wrap up, do you have anything to share about? Well, you're a teacher now. Did you? I'm curious because when I joined, I did not. I don't know why, but I didn't think I'm going to be a teacher. Did not cross my mind. How has that transition been? Have you needed a lot of training? I'm not involved in any of the training of the novices or postulants, but was that something you knew was coming, or how was the training for you?
I guess, well, so the training in the novitiate, there were obviously a lot of little things, going towards the teaching. But obviously the bulk of it is, the training for it to be a religious, obviously first and foremost, that's all of it. And then it's funny how, as I started teaching, I more and more realized how that influences your teaching so much. But it was funny when I came, I thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll be a teacher. Obviously that's what the sisters do for the most of all. And then when I went into the novitiate, I thought, no, I can't do it. I can't be a teacher. I knew I wasn't going to be a teacher.
Yes, I think everyone realizes in the novitiate that there's something about being a novice. You become incapable.
You can't do anything.
Can't do anything. You just grow in humility during that time. It's torture time.
Yes. So, yeah, so I guess after that, towards the end of the novitiate, we had a little bit more training. And then I was able to, with observations, you can watch some of the other classes and start to learn the actual, I guess, nitty gritties of the teaching,
Yes.
which there's a lot to it.
Yes.
Especially, well, I mean, there's just so many aspects to it. We have the technology now, we have, obviously the academic side, and then, the formation of the students as well,
Right. Right.
So there's just
No,
so
I'm
much.
I'm always asking Sister Mary Frances, who will be joining us soon. Actually, maybe I'll bring it up and pester her again. But a lot of people are always asking if we can post more videos about the education, and I think at the end of the day, it's just so much. It's you could have, you could write volumes on the coming about of the school and the education system used and everything that comes together. It's a lot. Yeah, very good. Well, Sister Mary Aloysius, if you would like to share with us. So Sister Mary Aloysius you're from California, so
Yes.
not so distant, but if you could share with us, you never attended Queen of All Saints. So how did you can you start with how you came to realize you had a vocation and what that process was for you?
Well, it's a little bit complicated. When I was 4, I taught myself how to read. Well, my mother started teaching me, but I kind of took off on my own and just started reading everything in the house.
Were you homeschooled then?
I was, yes,
Okay.
all of my life I was homeschooled. But as I would go through all the books in the library, I found one about a novice, actually. It was a little picture book about this novice, what she did every day. She'd be washing dishes, cooking, etc. And I read it, and for some reason, after I read that, I went up to my mother and said, I want to be a sister. I'd never met sisters before. But after that, it kind of just stuck. Every time someone asked me what I wanted to be, I just say, I want to be a sister.
And how old were you at that time when you read that book?
I was 4, actually.
Wow. See, that's really impressive. Actually, for both of you, I don't think I even was believing until I was like 10 years old.
Well, well, my mother said that I had to be put in the corner from years 1 through 5, so I
Okay.
wasn't behaving either. But
Very good. And then did you ever question your vocation after that? Did you ever consider other things? When did it become, because I think there's definitely a difference between what you want to be when you're little. I want to be an astronaut, a gymnast, all those things. And when you say, I'm going to pursue this, was there ever a point where you questioned it or decided that that's it for me?
well, I think it started solidifying when I met Sister Mary John, actually. She came out to California to teach us catechism. It was once a year, 1 full week of catechism, and that was the best week of the entire year. We always looked forward to it. You would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go through traffic, try to find parking somewhere in Blessed Sacrament.
Right,
It
right.
was-
It's in, I'll share with, no, I can't remember the name.
Martinez.
Martinez, yes. It's in Martinez, and it's up on a hill, very steep incline.
Extremely.
Yes, I'll never drive around there.
It's pretty bad. The parking's pretty bad. So we would just tear through the streets, and we would be telling Mom to go faster because we wanted to get there first before everyone else. And we would just wait there for the sisters to come. And whenever Sister Mary John came in, he was like, the sun just came through. I don't know. She was our ideal sister.
Yes, I think she's all of our ideal sister.
I know, we put her on a pedestal when we were little. But I think after I met Sister Mary John and I saw her, I would watch her intentionally. I'd follow her around to see what she would do. And I guess from that, I realized what a sister was like, what her ideal was, what she stood for. And then that solidified. I said, I want to be a sister, and I also want to be a sister like Sister Mary John.
Okay.
So after that, I kind of followed her to Florida. Pretty much.
Yes, very good. And you teach, you teach 7th grade. And can you share with us a little bit, just a couple details about the training you had to go through to become to become a classroom teacher. Not all the sisters are teachers. We have a full-time cook, we have a mistress of the wardrobe, mistress of novices. So to be a homeroom teacher is very specific training. Can you share some of the ongoing or previous training that you especially remember?
Well, I remember Sister Mary Frances actually did a lot of my training to be a teacher.
Yes, Sister Mary Frances is the principal of the school, and she runs the curriculum development and teacher training at Queen of All Saints. Yeah.
But the thing I most remember is she gave me a really old book. It was by the Christian Brothers, but it gave different methods of teaching. And the one that stood out to me was Socratic questioning.
Right.
You
Mhm.
always had to question the students. You never just gave them the answer. You always had to pull it out of them using specific questions. And even that alone, just that one thing, really shapes all teaching, really, across all subjects. And I think that was a big part of teaching, learning how to do it in such a way that it's not like nitpicky questions or too vague or too abstract. It had to be very specific to lead them to the truth,
Right.
which is a little bit harder to do for middle school because they always ask why. That's always the hardest question to answer. They always want to know why. They don't want to know what a thing is because they think they know. They want to know why it is like that. But the Socratic questioning really helps form their mind so they can actually see the truth rather than me just pouring it into their brains, basically hoping it
So
sticks.
developing their own logic, their own
Yes.
reasoning. Right. Yes. And that of course goes hand in hand with the fact that the school is classical. So that's a really important aspect that the teachers have to learn. Let's see. I guess for myself, I don't teach very much anymore. But as far as the teacher training, for me, since I've already completed my initial training, what's very important for me is the Sister Mary Frances does weekly video updates. So she observes the classes daily. So she'll pop into a classroom. Today is Tuesday. We had classes today. And I actually didn't teach today because this morning I did not have my voice. I was hoarse. I have a cold right now. But yes, I know she visited my English class with the substitute teacher and just watched for a while. And she'll walk the campus during the full day, visit classrooms, or call in if it's only an online class. And she'll then make these weekly updates for the teachers that is within this live course. And it's actually a YouTube video published unlisted to the teachers. And it walks through things she's noticed in the classroom, or if we're all doing a really great job, it will just give us a tip for here's an excellent way to enhance what you're already doing in language arts or what you're doing with this math concept. And those for me are so motivating. And it's also amazing how the most basic things, like there was one she shared recently about how to, what was it? It was how to ensure that when a student doesn't know the answer to a question, to ensure that within a few minutes they can answer your question. A lot of times you would ask the student a question, and if they didn't know, you move on to another student and leave them be. So just making sure you circle back, get them to re-answer it. Just little things like that you just forget over time, especially in a big classroom. Just re-emphasizing those things, it completely changes for me the flow of the classroom. And then of course, just the accountability, having to be ready for your interim testing. I need a lot of accountability to keep me on my toes. Very good. All right. Anything else either of you would like to share about religious life? Perhaps something that you found unexpected, something you weren't expecting that surprised you, or vice versa, something you were expecting that didn't come to be, besides the fact that you're not an instant saint.
Well, I guess I remember telling my mom that I couldn't realize how much you can actually do in 5 minutes after I came to the convent. But I guess I guess it just really helped me a lot with really, if you've got something to do and, you're doing it for the love of God, you can do whatever you can to do it well, but also to do it in a timely manner, which I think is how, stepping back and looking back, how the sisters can accomplish so much. Just looking at, all the other sisters and what we actually do. But no, I can't.
Yes. How much you can get done in 5 minutes. That's what surprised you.
It is.
I
It probably
agree.
sounds like a silly thing, but yes.
No, it's true. It kind of comes, for me, it comes back to the accountability. I guess it's also training when you first enter, but knowing that you have class at this time or interim testing tomorrow, but it comes down to the wire, how much you can get done in 5 minutes. Yeah, very good. This live Q&A is an excellent example. Just setting it up this evening, how much we could get done in those 5 minutes. Very good. Very good. So then Sister Marie Francis is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Some questions particular to her. She's the principal of the school. And then while we're waiting for her, just over this next minute or so, I can get through a couple more of these questions. One question we've had submitted several times is asking actually about the rosaries that the sisters wear. So the sisters wear a side rosary. It's attached to the black belt, and it's the 15-decade rosary. So it's quite daunting looking, with a very large, beautiful crucifix. And several people asked where we get them from or if we sell them. And the sisters do make those ourselves. So when a novice, actually when a postulant is approaching her novitiate, when she's approaching her vestition ceremony where she receives the habit, she will make her own rosary. So she'll get wire and beads and pliers, and she'll make her own rosary, as well as the crown of thorns that is worn at the ceremony in imitation of her spouse. And so unfortunately, we can't reference you for a place to buy those. The crucifixes, we shop different vendors. It is hard to find a beautiful crucifix in that size. So we've changed vendors several times, but we look all over the place, even eBay or I forget the name of it, or Etsy. Yeah, it's interesting where you find beautiful things today. And unfortunately, a lot of the Catholic art has become so ugly, the modern art. But yeah, so we don't offer them to sell because only the postulant makes them, and she makes it for herself for her vestition ceremony. But maybe someday we'll have enough sisters to make more religious goods. We do have a parish bookstore, but there's very little in it that is actually handmade by the sisters. With the school, unfortunately, we don't have very much time for crafts and such. And but that would be, at one time, we actually did make vestments. So that would be wonderful eventually if you have enough sisters and enough time to go back to that and expand on that. But at this time, we do not offer them for sale. Yeah, thank you for joining us, sister.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, so actually a question that I think you could answer this for kind of all the sisters, but can you tell us what will your day be like tomorrow? So tomorrow, Wednesday, can you just walk us through what that's going to be like?
Without looking at my calendar? Okay.
Assuming you wake up to your alarm or
Okay.
to the bell.
Yeah, so we begin the day with prayer, of course. So we sing the Office of Prime, and then we make a 30-minute meditation, and then the sisters come over to the school for attendance and uniform inspection, and then they bring the children to the chapel, and they will monitor the children during Holy Mass, and that's a really important part of our day, I would say. It kind of sets the tenor of the day, both for the sisters and for the students, is that the first thing we do is we go to the chapel and we kneel down and we attend Holy Mass, and we beg for all the graces we need to get through the day. So that's a principal part of our day. And then after that, of course, the children and the sisters have their breakfast, and hopefully I'll get my breakfast in tomorrow. I have a couple meetings in the morning. So yes, so we have breakfast. We then have a music class with the children, and actually currently they're preparing to sing for the midnight mass. They're going to sing some of the
Okay.
carols. So this is a very big deal for all of the children, and they're very excited. They're learning Handel's Messiah, not the whole thing, just the For Unto Us. So I love walking around the campus at that time and listening
Yes.
to the little ones as they learn. Actually, a very difficult piece. I've been very impressed. I was convinced it wouldn't fly, but the sisters told me they can do anything, and sure enough,
They
are.
can. Those
Yeah.
ages 10 on down, they're like sponges. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, maybe tomorrow I'll try to be here at that time and post a
Oh,
recording
yes.
of the music
Okay.
session.
That would be good. Put them on the spot. Give
Yes.
them some pressure. Yes. So that's really the 9 to 10. They have breakfast, music, 10 o'clock classes start, and that's really where I always try to get I guess you would say I do a thermometer check, okay, on the school, check the pulse and see how the classes are running. I try to always visit at least 3 to 4 classes a day, stay for a few minutes, see what's going on. At 1 o'clock, the students break for lunch, and and then they have PE, which is of course very welcome to them. Meanwhile, the sisters actually, and I don't know if the students have figured this out, but at 1 p.m., the sisters go to the chapel and we do our midday examen. So I'm sure our listeners are familiar with the general examen that is done nightly by as part of your spiritual duties. But there's also something called the particular examen, and it's a midday practice in which you look over your day and you really see how you're progressing in acquiring the one virtue or overcoming the one vice that you're working on. And it's very powerful. It's
is.
very, very helpful. And especially just helps maintain recollection and your focus on why are we doing what we're doing, right? It's to grow in sanctity and to bring others to sanctity as well. So that's really key for us. And then we also say the rosary at that time. So we sneak off to do that. And meanwhile, some of the sisters and staff take care of the children for lunch. And then afterwards we have, the sisters have lunch, and then we also watch, or some of the sisters help watch PE, which is, I would say, definitely a favorite part of the day, being with the little ones when
Yes,
they're.
especially this time of year. So Florida
Oh, yes.
is not pleasant June, July, and half of August, but from
Mm.
now all the way until May, it's perfect
Yes.
weather, assuming there isn't
Right.
rain, but it's not the wet season right now. So
Although we
beautiful
have been
outside.
getting a lot of overcast. I'm
Yes.
not sure why, but
past week. And I just
Yes.
wanted to comment that particular exam and that practice, of course, it's practiced by religious communities, but it only takes a couple minutes. It's
yes, it's 3 minutes.
3 to 5
Mhm.
minutes, and just to actually break from what you're doing, it requires some discipline, make it a habit. But to break from what you're doing, just for those 3 to 5 minutes, it sounds so small, but it's amazing how it lets you basically continue what you started in the morning with your morning prayers or your meditation, and have that continue on throughout the day.
Correct, exactly. Right. And yes, so then then of course you have your afternoon classes, and then dismissal at 3:30. But and then after that, the sisters have they have a break for tea or coffee if they need coffee.
Always.
Well, I know you need coffee, sister. And then we have vespers at 5 o'clock every day, and then we have our spiritual reading for 15 minutes. We then have dinner, and the dinner's taken in silence, and we have a reading with the meal. And the idea is that you're nourishing both the body and the soul with good reading. And then we have recreation, so an hour of recreation. And I think typically this is often a question from people, what do the sisters do for recreation? I would say typically we do try to get a walk in every day. Being teachers, you do sit for a large part of the day because you're preparing your classes, you're grading, Although I know some of the teachers try to pace and grade on their
Yes.
iPads. It's become kind of a norm. But yeah, so we try to get in a little bit of walking, a little bit of exercise, get some fresh air, and then the sisters like to play games. We do like board games, and Pictionary is a favorite.
Yes.
They get pretty intense.
Competition
sometimes.
kind of follows you everywhere.
Yes. Yes, and then we close the day with Compline, and which is considered the night prayer of the church, and then we also prepare for our meditation, which will occur the next morning, and we also start something at Compline time, 8 o'clock, which is called the Grand Silence, and probably most of you have heard that term, but essentially it's a very strict silence that we observe throughout the night until the morning meditation and the prime of the next morning. And the idea is to really deepen your recollection and prepare to make a good start to your day the next day, and to have a very good meditation. So you prepare your meditation after Compline, and then you try to keep those things in mind as you're going to bed and when you wake the next day.
And it's not always easy. You have, the day is busy, the school day is busy. So you go to prayer and all you can think about is, why did those students fail that test?
Well, hopefully that's not
Hopefully
all
it's
you
more
think
positive.
about.
But yes, that, those times of silence really help.
Oh, yes,
So that
for
you
sure.
can,
Yes.
push away those thoughts and focus on the spiritual aspect. Without the times of silence, your mind just keeps going. And so yes, the morning silence and the evening silence are very helpful for that.
Mhm.
And then the midday break. Yes, and I just wanted to comment that while we've been discussing, we've had 13 people donate on this live chat platform.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Very much appreciate your support. Very good. So then, and Sister, we already spoke with Sister Marie Bernard and Sister Marie Aloysius as far as sharing with us a little bit about their experience as a sister. But was there anything that something short that you would like to share before we end with the last of these questions, either from your childhood? You actually did attend Mary Help of Christians, the school I was referring to, with Mrs. Gallagher running the music program and contributing to the fact that we can actually sing music today.
Well, I guess actually, I had not heard sisters' stories of their travels and the road to their vocation. So I very much appreciated hearing that. I actually hadn't heard that. I'll have to ask all the sisters to share
Yes,
their.
we'll have to get all the sisters to tell their stories.
But no, I mean, just the marvel of the vocation, and how, in a sense, how divine providence works all things in order to bring that soul to him, is always amazing. Just to hear Sister Mary Bernard's tale of, coming from the far off outback of Australia, and Sister Mary Aloysius, to hear what an impression, the graces she was receiving, even at age 4, and then meeting the sisters later, in her teenage years, as they went out to teach the catechism. I guess it's always a marvel to me to see how God, little by little, draws the soul to find the vocation and to follow it, and especially in our day and age, when
Yes.
it's so dangerous. And
Yes, it seems impossible when you look at the state of the world, but yeah.
Yes. So I guess just the miracle of the vocation. And if there's any young ladies out there, be sure that you are generous and follow that call and be faithful to those graces, because it is truly a miracle in our day and age to have a vocation.
Yeah, thank you, Sister.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes. So then Mother is going to now join us just to finish answering the rest of these questions. And in case perhaps more questions have been added to the chat, we have about 10 minutes left of this live stream. So we started at 8:30. We plan on ending at 9:30. And let's see, we can probably start off, answer some of these while we're waiting for her to join us. Okay, this one I can answer. The question, this was actually submitted, I think, on a regular basis. And it says, how do I get the sisters to pray for me? So yes, a part of our vocation is, of course, yes, very good question, is prayer. And we do actually have set times during the day where we read off prayer requests. So before the rosary, for example, Sister Marie Savio will pull out the prayer requests that have come in that week, and she will read them off. Today's rosary is being said for, she'll say the name of the person and what their intention is. So we're praying for the conversion of so-and-so, and the sisters privately will say the rosary for their intention. So the way you can get that prayer request in, you can always simply email it, but to guarantee it gets on that piece of paper and is said on a daily basis at our intentions, we actually have on our website, and I guess we could actually, I'll publish a link to this live stream when we finish as well, just in the description, but we have two options on the website. One is to subscribe to our newsletter, and the other is to submit a prayer request. So it is actually another kindful link, same platform we use for donation, except when you submit your information, you're actually submitting, rather than a donation or subscribing, you're requesting prayers. One thing I would like to note is when you submit a prayer, that intention is brought to prayer for one day, and then we move on to the next request. So if you have several intentions, you want to submit several prayer requests or prayer requests as those intentions come up. But yes, we do make an effort if we receive prayer requests outside of that platform, which again, I'll share the link. We do make an effort to get those in as well. So sometimes people will submit them by email, or we might see them posted, and we do make an effort to gather those as best we can. But yes, I will post a link to the actual submission area to ensure those are brought up and the sisters are praying for your intentions. That being said, if you are a donor, if you are a benefactor of the sisters, so if you have given a donation, even at once in your lifetime, we pray for you daily. We have prayers set aside specifically for the intentions of our benefactors. And Mother, perhaps you can share with us how that is connected to our work, and why that is that we prioritize praying for our benefactors.
Yes. So the sisters actually, the sisters make vows, right? Of course, that's what a sister is. A sister makes vows according to a specific set of constitutions and rules. And the Sisters of St. Thomas, specifically in our constitutions and rules, there is a specific article, right, a rule by which we must pray for our benefactors. And you might say, well, why is this something that is in a constitutions or a rule book for sisters? Some people might even say, well, we made it up when we put it in there, but we did not. In fact, you can look at many old rule books and you find that it's actually in a section titled Charity Towards Neighbor. The sisters in the past, in past congregations, they are required by their rule to pray for their benefactors because it is a duty of justice, right? If you are contributing to the sisters, you are helping us. You basically are our livelihood, right? We can't function without your support, without your donations, and they permit us to do what we do, right? So for that reason, the donor is very much connected with our work, right? And we need to return that favor by praying for the benefactor. So the sisters take that very seriously, and every day at the rosary, we will pray for those intentions. And in fact, if certain donors, I think you can find it on our website, the campaign website, I think we have different levels.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
if you reach a certain level, the sisters will remember you perpetually. In fact, I think if you get to a certain level, the sister will have your name
Yes,
inscribed on a picture of St. Thomas Aquinas in her cell, right? Every sister in her cell has a picture hanging of St. Thomas Aquinas because we are the Sisters of St. Thomas. And you will receive a little plaque on that frame, and the sister is required to pray for that family or that individual every day of her life, right? Until she passes, right? At which time it would be passed on to another sister. So,
yes.
so I guess, yes.
And
That's
it is, of course, I don't think all the sisters, it's probably not true of all the sisters, but it's interesting how the majority of the sisters, whenever a name is mentioned, they know all the benefactors by name, even though they've never met them. They probably don't know anything about them personally. When you say the name, like, oh yes, we've been praying for that person, or we mentioned that person last week. And the sisters, it almost feels like they are a part of the community in a way. You know,
yes.
every
Yes.
sister is.
Yes. In fact, it looks like, since we've been speaking, Louis Shaver donated $200 on the live chat. So
Thank you,
you,
Louis.
Louis Shaver. You'll be remembered by the sisters.
Very good. So then a couple more questions. Let's see, what time is it?
So I think we have 3 minutes.
Yes. So we did have more questions that I had noted down. And I don't know, Mother, if there are any questions in the chat that have not been answered, but we'll see what we can get through. So another really common question, actually, I just got this one, I think, last week again. Can I visit the sisters' chapel? So the sisters have their own private chapel on Rosecrans next door to the school. And yes, it is a beautiful chapel. And very commonly people will ask, you know, I'm in the Florida area. Can I visit your chapel?
Yes. So the answer is yes. So you can arrange that by emailing, either emailing the email that's on the sisters' website, sistersofaquinas.org, or filling out the contact form. And sister will get back with you and will schedule that.
Yes. But even when people have stopped by, you know, on Sundays, for example, usually we can arrange a visit to the chapel. It's not a problem. Yes, it does happen frequently. All right. And then next question, where are the sisters located? So yes, our main location is where we are right now. So Brooksville, Florida is where the mother house is. And that's just north of Tampa. So it's a little bit more than halfway down the Florida panhandle or Florida state. And yes, Sister Mary Alois just mentioned different sisters. She mentioned Sister Mary John teaching catechism in California. Sisters will visit. Sister Mary John sounded like she visited yearly, but the mother house is here, and that is the only mother house for the sisters. Next question, do you offer retreats? And it doesn't specify, but I've gotten, you know, requests from adults and
we at this time we only offer retreats to young ladies between the ages of 16 and 30 who are interested in pursuing a religious vocation. And in fact, we have a virtual vocations retreat this Saturday, December 2nd, which is online. And then we do a in-person retreat, 3-day retreat for that same age level at the end of February. So at this time, just for young ladies interested in pursuing vocations.
And I know some people have asked locally. We have done a mother's retreat once before, and we have Ash Wednesday retreats for our students, but those aren't regular, and so it's not something we regularly offer. But hopefully, you know, we can
Hopefully
offer
in the
those.
future,
Yes.
as we, you know, acquire more sisters, more help, and hopefully we could offer it.
Next question. Do you have any live performances I can attend? I think specifically speaking about music. So as far as the sisters performing, we don't have live performances. But that being said, if you are in town on a Sunday, we are the parish choir. So the sisters sing at the Sunday High Mass every week. And well, I guess coming up, we have midnight mass, and that's always a favorite. So the sisters, I don't know if we'll be live streaming it, hopefully, but at the parish church, so where we're at right now, we do carols. We sing carols for an hour, followed by midnight mass, which is a high mass, and that's always a favorite with the parishioners. We sing every Christmas song we know that can be sung in the church, and that's definitely a highlight, I think, for when we sing live. Of course, there is the school concert, but the sisters themselves, the focus there is the children. Though I would say if you're ever in the area, those are very enjoyable. You can find live streams of those on our YouTube channel as well. Another question we had is, actually we kind of already answered this. Okay. How do I join your mailing list? I briefly mentioned it before. It's kind of the same as how do I submit a prayer request. So again, I'll post links to that, but it's in the same spot as the prayer request. Subscribe to newsletter, submit a prayer request, both located on our website. So I will post links to that. But yes, we do have a quarterly newsletter. It doesn't go out very frequently, only 4 times a year, but we're about to send out our fall newsletter actually, which is completed. Just need to get that mailed out. So 4 times a year, we do have a newsletter, which can be emailed, or if you're in the United States, mailed physically, if that is your preference. And yes, and that wraps up all of the questions that the main questions that come in quite frequently, especially over the past 24 hours. Mother, did you have anything? What time is it? That we're about time. Do you have anything you'd like to share with those who have joined us this evening?
Let's see. So yes, I think we're a little bit over time, but I would like to simply thank those who have been listening and thank those who have given today and who have given in the past. Again, the convent would not survive without donations. And they're very important. So if you have given, no matter the size of the donation, we greatly appreciate the donation. And again, I guess I know a lot of people have joined since we started the live stream, so I would just remind them why we're doing this, the live stream. It's obviously Giving Tuesday, or coming close to the end of Giving Tuesday, and our goal was to acquire 150 new recurring monthly donors. And the purpose of that goal is so that the sisters can more easily acquire the funds needed just for daily living expenses of the sisters. You know, a lot of people will say, well, you know, the sisters, you take a vow of poverty, so why do you need funds, right? Well, for that reason, right? The sisters, besides teaching at school, we do not have a steady income. So we survive on donations. And, you know, even though we do take a vow of poverty, you have basic expenses, right? And you might say, there are a lot of expenses that people don't think of, right? You know,
like the fire pump,
the fire pump for the school,
recently.
Something recent, the sisters, you know, we bring in sisters from foreign countries, and that is something that we need the help of a lawyer for, and that's very expensive. You know, and that's something that is ongoing. You know, you bring them in on a visa, then every couple of years that needs to be updated. And with, you know, the added restrictions every year, there's a new process to go through. Therefore, there's more time for the lawyer to research. So, you know, you could be spending thousands of dollars easily on a single sister to keep her visa status current, you know, and to get her that green card. So, you know, that's an expense that we're facing right now. You know, just grocery expenses. I don't know how many gallons of milk we buy every week. Neither of you know. None of us are in the kitchen.
No.
We should have a cook here.
Our kitchen staff isn't probably asleep.
But again, and again, I know not everybody can give, and that's fine. You know, and I guess it's Giving Tuesday, so we're making the ask. If you can, no matter how small, if it's just 50 cents, $1, that helps, right? And it goes a long way. There's greatness in numbers, as they say. So I would just leave you with that, and thank you for listening. Thank you for giving, and thank you for supporting the sisters. On our end, we will continue to pray for you.
Yes,
So-
and I guess just before we press done, I just wanted to thank, don't know if they are still here right now, but one donor in particular actually requested this live stream a couple hours ago. They messaged suggesting it. And I just wanted to thank them for that suggestion. Most of what we do is by suggestion, everything from what we do for our donors, the music, even the choice of songs very often. So we really appreciate those suggestions. And even though we don't always respond and we can't do everything, the ideas are very helpful. So feel free to send those requests. Thank you very much.
And thank you. I think Marlene Connor just donated 100. So thank you, Marlene,
Thank you, Marlene.
Connor, and also Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you. Yes.
All
Very
right.
good.
Very good. So we close here.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank
Have
you.
a good evening.